Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Febrina Shelfa Nuraini from Physical Education International Class 2018. My study number is 610141X02 and 9. I will show you about attitude to sport. Definition. The social psychologist Elliot Aronson have defined an attitude as an enduring evolution, positive or negative, of people, objects, and ideas. There are two important features of attitude from that definition. First, attitudes are long-lasting, and second, attitudes involve making judgment. The nature of attitudes. There are two approaches to understanding attitudes. Number one, the functional approach. Look at why we have attitudes and how adopting particular attitudes can be helpful to us. Number two, the structural approach. Look at different factors make up attitudes. The functional approach. Smith et al. Suggests that having attitude serves three main psychological purposes. Number one, the adaptive function. The adaptive function attitude involves the usefulness of certain attitudes in helping us achieve our goals. Number two, the knowledge function. The knowledge function of attitudes refers to the fact that having attitudes make the world simpler and more practicable place. It also means we can save ourselves mental energy that would otherwise have to be spent analyzing person and situation we come across. Number three, the ego defensive or self-defensive. The ego defensive function of attitude concerns the fact that we can adopt attitudes to help protect ourselves from difficult or painful feelings. Usually, people whose pride have suffered by a defeat in sport maximally adopt a defensive attitudes like "I'm not bothered" or "I'm sick of this sport anyway." So the teachers, coaches, and parents must recognize how people use attitudes to make themselves better. Also, we shouldn't take people too seriously if they say they are giving up their sport after one bad game. The structural approach. The structural approach to attitudes look at the different components that make attitudes. It is generally agreed that there are three aspects to our attitudes. Number one, the cognitive dimension of attitudes concern our belief. Number two, the affective of attitude concern our feelings. And the number three, the behavioral dimension of attitude concern our action. Measuring attitudes. The way of measuring attitudes, we can measure attitudes directly by asking questions or asking them to respond to statements that describe belief, feeling, or behavior associated with the topic we are interested in. There are three main ways to measure attitudes. First, Likert scale. Likert developed the symbols that and what has become the most common way of measuring attitudes. We start by producing an equal number of positive and negative statements concerning wherever we are measuring attitudes. This statement can concern belief, feelings, and behavior. Then people are asked to respond to the statement usually on a 5-point scale, ranging from strongly agree to strongly disagree. And Osgood et al. Developed an alternative procedure for direct measurement of attitude, the semantic difference scale. To prepare such a scale, we first think of a number of words with opposite meaning that are applicable to describing the subject of test. There are 7 points between each pair of words. The respondents talks in to select a point between the two extremes the best describe how they feel. And the last one, Thurston scales. Thurston and Cav developed a complex system of attitude measurement. Thurston believed that it was important that we should know just how positive or negative. This is achieved by having a panel of at least 50 until 100 judges rate each statement for positivity or negativity. The advantage of this that when we add someone's scores, we can weight very positive and very negative statements more heavily than only mildly positive statements. The factor of affecting attitude to sport, personality, genes, and attitudes. To try theories such an essay, personality is primarily determined by genetic factor. It's certainly conceivable that genes might influence sporting attitudes. There is indeed some evidence that our genetic makeup might predispose us to generally positive or negative attitude to sport. Social learning of attitudes. Children are likely to adopt the attitude to sport they see in their parents. Children also receive powerful reinforcement in response to the attitudes they express from a very early age. Social learning can help explain attitudes to both participation and spectating. Parental involvement. The extent to which parents actively get involved in children's sporting activities can affect their attitude sport. Desire for health and physical achievement. Currently, there is increasing social pressure on people of all age and both sex to maintain a particular body type that is characterized by low fat mass and high muscle mass. This is a paradoxical situation for psychologists. We might argue that society is right to pressure people to use sport and exercise to manage their weight and fitness. Attitude to sport and sporting behavior. The theory of recent action, Asen and Fishman, assume that behavior is determined by individual desire to perform or not perform a particular behavior or vice versa. Desire is determined by two independent variables including subjective attitudes and norms. There are two factors that determine individual intention to take part in sport. First, their general attitude to sport, and second one, how socially desirable they consider sport to be. The theory of planned behavior. The theory of planned behavior gets around this by introducing a very variable perceived behavior control which influence attention. As in the theory, there is a strong link between intention and addiction. However, we formulate the intention to act in certain way only when we perceive that we have control over our behavior. The trans-theoretical model, or TTM. The trans-theoretical model provides a useful explanation of the process in active individuals go through to reconcile their attitudes and behavior. According to the TTM, people go through 5 stages before they regularly participate in sport. Number 1, pre-contemplation or not ready. In this stage, people do not intend to take action in the foreseeable future. And number 2, contemplation or getting ready. In this stage, people are intending to start the health behavior in this foreseeable future. Number 3, preparation or ready. In this stage, people are ready to take action. And number 4, action. In this stage, people have recently changed their behavior and intend to keep moving forward with that behavior change. And the last stage is maintenance. In this stage, people have sustained their behavior change for a while and intend to maintain the behavior change going forward. Changing people's attitude to sport. Cognitive dissonance in the unpleasant sensation we are experiencing when an attitude we hold comes into conflict with a current situation or intention. The cognitive dissonance explains how we can change our attitude in response to a new situation. Self-perception theory proposes that our attitudes are determined by our behavior. We can change our own attitudes to sport for the better if we practice more. We can change the attitude of others if we can persuade them to participate. Self-perception theory can be applied fairly easily to change the attitudes of large number of people via community and work-based sporting activity. So that's all from me, and thank you for your attention.